What's up, guys? This is Kyle from Wax Museum. I hope everybody is doing well. I'm here today with my 9th installment of my 75th anniversary team collection, and I'm just going to go ahead and jump right in with one of the best power forwards of all time, which you can see here is Karl Malone. This is a guy who put up big numbers and for a long time because he played until he was 40, and up until that last year, he really didn't miss a lot of games. I think in 18 seasons with the Jazz, he missed 10 regular season games. So when you combine that longevity with the fact that he averaged 25 and 10, you can see why he's 3rd all-time in points and 7th all-time in rebounds. Now, truth be told, I never cared all that much for either one of Malone or Stockton, so I never had that many cards of either one of them. I wouldn't mind getting a few more nice cards considering Malone's placement on the all-time scoring list, but it's not a big priority for me at the time. So here's the one that I have that's worth showing off. I don't even have an 86 Fleer rookie. I've got this nice, well, it's actually a pretty simple flawless patch here, but a nice jumbo patch. I do like that. It's an older style jersey. They've got an older style picture of him too. So sometimes they don't always do that with the Jazz. So, you know, all things considered, this is a good Malone for my PC, I feel like. But he's not my favorite Malone in NBA history. He's probably be behind Jeff Malone as well too. But that distinction goes to a Malone that I never got to see live. That would be Moses Malone. Now, nowadays, when you hear people talking about players jumping straight from high school to the pros, they might mention, you know, KG. They'll probably mention Kobe, but they forget about Moses Malone in the ABA, who ended up playing about 20 years of pro ball. And he averaged 20 and 10 in that, or 20 and 12, I should say, over that time frame. He's one of the best rebounding big men in NBA history. I think he's the best. He had the highest offensive rebounding average. Now, don't quote me on that one. I'm pretty sure he did, though. I know he's still 5th all-time in rebounds, and if you count the combined ABA stats, he moved up to 3rd. He won 1 title in '83. He won 3 MVP awards, and the last 2 were kind of interesting because they came back-to-back, but they were on different teams because Houston traded him in '82, and that's part of what finally helped put the Sixers over the hump. I don't feel like we hear a lot about Moses anymore, which is a shame, but there are a few guys who keep his name out there, including Charles Barkley, who largely credits Moses with sitting Charles down in Philly and getting him straightened out. So thank you, Moses, for that. So here I've got a 75 Topps Moses Malone rookie, and I bought this raw for like $6 shipped, sent it to PSA when everything was still cheap, and it came back as 6. I've got a 7 that I bought for my, just for my own collection. But when I got this one graded myself, I kept the 6, and I think the 7's in my show inventory now. Visually, there's not much difference to me, but I like the fact that I subbed this one. So I wanted to show that one off. I got a real cheap Moses card here from 1980-81 Topps that, not worth a whole lot, like I said, but it's got a couple other Hall of Famer, well, one other Hall of Famer on it in Bobby Jones, but a Hall of Famer's father is what I should say. This is Kobe Bryant's dad on here, so I thought that was kind of cool to own. So another cool set that I liked was a non-licensed set, which paired a Kentucky or a college player with a pro player, and then it was autographed by the pro player. It's called Time Warp. So this one has a Moses Malone autograph on it, and there's 1,000 of these, so there's plenty of them out there. But that's a cool little set. It's got George Gervin, and it's got, I think I might have even showed off the Walt Frazier on here. It's got Isaiah Thomas. Cool looking set overall. Another, that looks like is probably a Philly uniform, just airbrushed. These 2 are definitely Philly uniforms. These are patches here. I wanted a Moses patch, and this one showed up on eBay, so I grabbed it. But then one of the my good hobby friends and a listener of the show, he messaged me and said, hey, I've got a flawless patch, and we ended up making a deal for that, which I like that one a lot more. So you guys know I love the flawless patches, so I had to get that one. All right, so that's all for Moses. Maravich would be next in the alphabet, but he's our main event for today. Oh, no, that's not all for Moses. I'm sorry. I picked this up at the National. From late in his career, it's a nice Bucks patch, numbered to 10. All right, like I said, Maravich would have been next, but he's our main segment for the day, I guess, or our main event. So I'm going to move on to Bob McAdoo. And Bob was left off the original 50 back in the 96-97 season. I thought that was questionable, both him and Dominique. I thought that was questionable, which they got added this time around, which was the right thing to do in my mind. And here's why, at least for Bob. He was a 3-time scoring champ, a 2-time NBA champ, and he added an MVP in 1975. His Buffalo squad lost to the Bullets in the Eastern semifinals, but in that series, he averaged over 37 points, and that was a 7-game series. As for his career, he averaged 22-9. There was a significant drop-off in the last handful of years, but I don't think that should be held against him. He still had 7 or 8 years where he put up some monster stats. I'm kind of embarrassed by my Bob McAdoo collection, although there are some cool components to this that I'm going to talk about, but he doesn't have any relics, so I don't have any in turn. That's not my fault. I don't have his 73 Topps rookie card. I don't know why. It's just one I never pursued, and what really kills me about that is I got his autograph in person a couple times, including this card here. I had him sign this when he was an assistant coach with the Heat. I could have had a 73 Topps and had him sign that. This was the closest thing I could get to it at the time. It was just whatever I had access to. I guess I should probably send that to Rick. Who knows? Kareem's going to charge me a lot. I don't want to send it to him. So anyway, I have that. This one I did not get signed myself. It came in a lot, but I figured I'd hang on to that. And then this one here is pretty unique. This is these are like ice cream discs. And I bought a big lot of these off of a guy, and there were several Bob McAdoos in there, but Kareem's in the set, Pat Riley's in it, Phil Jackson's in it, Havlicek's in it, Lou Hudson's in it. There's a lot of guys in this, but this is something different that you don't see every day. So I figured I'd show you that. And I actually forgot about him. I could have showed him to you for Kareem and some of the other guys I've been showing lately, but I got desperate for Bob McAdoo things to show you, and I'm glad I did because it made me find these. Okay, next up, let's move on to Kevin McHale. We got one of the best post players of all time. And when I think of Kevin McHale, I think of his footwork, which will be fitting here, and you'll see why. And the long list of moves that he had at his disposal to score in the post. On top of that, he was a great defender, which made him a great complementary piece on those Boston teams with Bird and company. His stats aren't bad. They aren't necessarily going to overwhelm you either. But you really have to look at his game in context, and I think he definitely deserves to be on this list. So first up, I've got this 81 Topps rookie, and this looks really clean to me. And I've even had people say you should crack that out and bump it, which is not really something I do. I bought this in a lot anyway, but I want to keep this because of how old this label is. I mean, this is a very, in the grand scheme of things, a very early PSA graded card. So I think that's very cool. And it's got great eye appeal. Whether this says 9 or 10, it looks great to me. You got the Big E in here. You got Wes Unseld. So it's a great rookie to begin with. McHale working in the post. Great rookie, great grade, great old label on there. So I like everything about that. Now, I mentioned he was a post player, and I mentioned his footwork. So it's only appropriate then that I have an immaculate soul of the game card of him with a big old piece of a Converse sneaker in there. And you can see he's wearing some Converses on there too. This is a thick card. I've got it in a slider box. I like these cards though. And this was reasonable when I got it. I think it was like $35, and they're still not too bad. You can still get some of these for a decent price out there. But if a guy's known for his footwork and there's a sneaker card, get the sneaker card. It only makes sense. All right, now this is one from my original collection in the 2000s. This was, and I don't, whatever it was at the time, I think it was because the patch looked dirty. I didn't pick up a lot of Legend stuff then because I couldn't afford it, but this was one of my first multicolor patches. And it's numbered 12 out of 15, and it survived the purge from a lot of the stuff from my old collection, and for that, I'm probably not going to get rid of it because of that reason. So this is from 2004, which would be our last year of Fleer cards. I know they came back with Upper Deck, at least the intellectual property did, but the true Fleer cards, that would have been our last year there. Okay, our main event now, we've got Pete Maravich. I saved him for the end. I don't think he's necessarily the best player of these 5, but he's probably the most popular. Pete's a guy that's kind of hard for me to place in NBA history because there's no mistaking that he was a great scorer. We knew that coming into the league. He averaged 44 points per game in college, And even in the NBA, he got a scoring title in 77, and that was all without the three-point line. He only had that in his last season where his body was wrecked. So he doesn't have the longevity that a lot of other guys on this list do. But in addition to his scoring, he was a great ball handler, a great innovator. His teams were never really that good, which is unfortunate. I think his team was only over 500 3 or 4 times. So like I said, he's really hard to place, but he's a fun player to watch, with whatever little footage is out there. And in turn, then he's a fun player to collect. And I've been fortunate to add a few nice pieces that I'm going to share with you today. The first one is a gift that I got at the 2019 National from my friend Kirk. And Kirk, thank you again. I can't emphasize how much. Thank you. The story was I bought an old beat up rookie there for like $10, and I took it to Kirk and I said, is this real? I bought it for real cheap, and we kind of went back and forth on it, and we weren't sure. And he came up to me later and he said, I got something for you. And he said, I know this one's real. And most certainly is. It's a BVG 7. So I was just absolutely floored by that gift. This one's never leaving the PC. Great looking card. These are very condition sensitive and the borders are tough on these with centering. So to get a 7, I am beyond thrilled with that. Got a few more nice Pete cards here. You guys might get a kick out of this. This was from an old binder I bought. It's a 72 Topps. Someone wrote Peter on the front. And it's hard to sell a card like that, so I just kind of stuck it in my collection. On the other hand, I paid a lot of money for a card that someone else wrote Pete on. Thankfully, it was Pete Maravich himself. But this is one of the cornerstones of my collection and obviously of my 72 Topps set. This is a Pete Maravich signed card. And a lot of cards out there, he signed Pistol Pete. And that was it. This one is signed Pistol Pete Maravich. And I have not, actually, I can't, I'm sure there's some out there. I have not seen another one that's signed like this. So this one, I've had a lot of people ask me about this. Well, first off, it's part of the set that I collected. I'm not breaking up the set. But even if I, chose not to do the set, this is a cornerstone because you don't see Maravich autos out there. You just don't see a lot of them. So anyway, there's that. Then we go a little bit later in his career, 74 Topps. We've got the random background shot. This was probably shot in a locker room somewhere, and they just put the background behind him. Pete Maravich for the Jazz here. And then you don't see a lot of these out there either. A Maravich Celtics patch. This one's numbered 2 out of 9. There's an awesome video on YouTube that Panini put up there. I probably watch it once every couple months still, where they show, they acquired this jersey from a Hall of Fame auction. They show the jersey being sent to the seamstress, and she's tearing it apart and cutting it up, and it shows them putting them into the gold standard cards, which I know a lot of people hate seeing historical things cut up, but if they're going to cut it up, and if you like cards, you'll probably like seeing that kind of stuff. So I would recommend watching that. You just search Pete Maravich Panini jersey and it'll probably come up. Maybe if I remember, I'll link it in the comments. So anyway, there you have it. That's installment number 9. I always forget to say this, but don't forget to like, comment, and share. There's a new video, hopefully, in this series. I've been able to keep up so far. A new video that comes out every Friday. Then there's new podcast episodes the day before that on Thursday. I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks for watching.